Official Black Coffin novel. Description. The rain never stopped for Nemui. In his first life, he was nothing more than a broken boy, bullied, isolated, and crushed beneath a world that seemed determined to make him suffer. Nemui spent every day wishing for a different life. A better life. When tragedy steals everything he has left, Nemui makes a choice that ends his world. But death is not the end. In the void between worlds, Nemui is offered a contract by Zalius, the calamity of chaos, an ancient deity betrayed and sealed away by the strongest of the calamities, Zeref, the calamity of destruction. In exchange for a second chance at life, Nemui agrees to become Zalius's vessel and is reborn into a world overrun by monsters, hunters, dungeons, and powers beyond human comprehension. Yet from the moment of his birth, something is wrong. Monsters are drawn to him, ancient powers awaken around him. And the strongest hunter in the world, Kael'Virex, immediately recognizes the terrifying truth. Nemui may become either humanity's greatest protector or its final catastrophe. Raised under Kael's guidance, Nemui spends years learning to control the chaotic power sleeping within him. But when hunters seeking to contain the calamity child take everything from him once again, Nemui is consumed by grief and vengeance. His path eventually leads him to Zeref himself. And he learns a horrifying truth. He is nowhere near strong enough. Forced to flee his homeland, Nemui journeys across the world to America, where powerful guilds dominate society and hunters rise or fall by the strength of the banners they serve. There, alongside the mysterious rogue hunter Onyx Tombstone, he establishes a new guild known as Black Coffin. What begins as a desperate attempt to survive soon grows into something far greater. Ancient tombs holding forgotten kings begin to open. Legendary dungeons emerge from beneath the earth. Monsters break free from their gates and invade entire nations. Guilds rise and fall in wars that reshape the world, and hidden behind it all lies a secret buried deeper than any dungeon. The Black Coffin is not simply just another guild. It is a prison. As Nemui uncovers the truth behind the calamities, the dungeons, and the gods manipulating humanity from the shadows, he finds himself standing at the center of a conflict that spans worlds. A war against rogue hunters, a war against powerful guilds, a war against gods themselves. From the tomb of fallen kings to the legendary requiem of 1,000 hunters, from apocalyptic gates to the awakening of world-ending entities, Nemui's journey will force him to decide what kind of legend he wishes to become. A hero, a monster, or the next calamity. Because somewhere in the darkness, Zeref is waiting, watching, smiling, and when the final coffin opens, the fate of every world will be decided. Story, Chapter 1. Title, Rain That Never Stops. The rain never sounded gentle in Nemui's world. It felt like quiet punishment. Each drop tapping against the pavement felt like a reminder that life moved forward whether you wanted it to or not. Nemui woke up that morning the same way he always did. Tired. Not the kind of tired sleep could fix. The kind that lived behind his eyes. The kind that made breathing feel like work. He dragged himself out of bed, barely noticing the gray sky outside his window. It matched him too well. By the time he stepped outside, the rain had already begun. Cold, steady, unforgiving. He didn't bother with an umbrella. What's the point? He muttered under his breath. On his walk to school, a trash truck roared past him. Splash! A wave of filthy water crashed over him. Sewer, rain, rot. It clung to his clothes, his skin, his pride. Nemui froze. For a moment, everything went quiet. Except the rain. He slowly looked up at the sky, his wet hair sticking to his face. What did I do to deserve this joke of a life? No answer came, only thunder in the distance. His gaze dropped to the rippling puddle at his feet. His reflection stared back at him, distorted, broken. I wish I could be reborn. In a new world. Somewhere else. Anywhere else. Laughter broke the moment. Students passed by him, clean, dry, sheltered beneath umbrellas. One of them smacked the back of his head as they walked by. Watch where you're standing, loser. More laughter. Nemui didn't turn around, didn't speak. He just stood there, fighting the burn in his eyes. By the time he reached school, the damage was done. Whispers followed him, people covering their noses, disgust painted on every face. The classroom felt smaller than usual, colder. His teacher took one look at him and sighed. Nemui, go home and change. Nemui laughed softly. Not because it was funny. Why? He asked, voice hollow. So I can do it all over again? Count me out. The room erupted. Laughter, mockery, voices blending into noise. Something inside him cracked. He turned and ran. The rain welcomed him back like an old friend. He didn't slow down until he reached home. Welcome back. His mother's voice stopped when she saw his face. His father's smile faded just as quickly. Baby, what's wrong? She asked gently. Nemui walked past her, silent, heavy, up the stairs, door closed. A knock came minutes later. Hey, bud, you okay? His father's voice asked softly. Open up. Let's talk. Nemui stared at the floor. I'm good, Dad. he said, forcing the words out. Just Rain, kids being kids, a pause. Tell Mom it's nothing to worry about, I promise. Silence lingered on the other side. Then, all right, Nems, we're here if you need us. Footsteps faded. Nemui slid down against his bed, pulled his knees to his chest, and finally, he let it show. Maybe this life would be better without me in it. The words barely made it out. Maybe they wouldn't struggle so much. His chest tightened. If I wasn't here, but he still stood up, still washed his face, still walked back downstairs, still hugged his mom from behind. Thank you, he whispered. She didn't ask why, she just held his hands. That should have been the end of it, just another bad day. But the world wasn't done with him yet. School didn't get better. It got worse. A borrowed pink umbrella, more laughter, a teacher's sarcasm, a game of dodgeball that turned into humiliation, a broken pair of glasses, bruises, pain, and afterward, a beating behind the school. Because somehow, it was still his fault. By the time Nemui walked home, blood mixed with rainwater at his feet. His body ached, but not as much as everything inside him. Then he made the mistake. The shortcut. The alley. He bumped into someone. Watch it. The voice was wrong. Too calm, too empty. Nemui turned and froze. A man stood there smiling, a knife in his hand, blood on his lips. Run. Nemui didn't think, he just ran. Footsteps chased him. Closer, closer, until suddenly they stopped. Nemui didn't look back. He didn't want to know why. He made it home, slammed the door, locked it, held it shut like it was the only thing keeping the world from collapsing. Everything after that felt like a nightmare. His parents' concern, his silence, the truth spilling out, their shock, their guilt, then the scream. Nemui ran downstairs. Too late. His father, fighting, losing. Call 911. His hands shook, his voice broke. The operator's voice sounded distant, like it belonged to another world. He saw the man again, smiling, eating, destroying. Nemui ran. He didn't remember leaving the house, didn't remember where he went, only that when he came back, everything was gone. Police lights painted the night red and blue. But it didn't feel like help, it felt like the end. Weeks passed, or maybe months. Time didn't matter anymore. Nemui stayed in his room, curled beneath his blanket, holding a photo, a memory, a life that didn't exist anymore. Every time he looked at it, it changed. Smiles turned into something else. Something he couldn't forget. A knock came one day, soft, persistent. Nemui? A familiar voice. Katsu, and me, his sister added. We've been worried about you. Please open the door. Nemui stared at the handle, for a long time. Then, he stood up, opened it, walked past them, without a word. The world outside was loud. Cars rushing by, people moving, life continuing. Like nothing had happened. Like he had never mattered. Katsu's voice cracked behind him. Nemui? Nemui stepped forward. Car crash, and let go. Everything fades to black. Rain falls one last time. And somewhere in the distance, voices scream his name. Nemui! Too late. Too late. Chapter 2. The Contract. Silence. An endless, suffocating silence. Nemui drifted in a void where neither light nor darkness could truly be distinguished. His body felt weightless, yet his mind carried a heaviness that refused to fade. The memories of his previous life lingered. Pain, loneliness, questions that were never answered. Then, a voice, low, echoing. It slithered through the abyss like a whisper crawling beneath his skin. So, you finally arrived. Nemui's eyes widened, though there was nothing to see. Who's there? The void trembled. A blinding light erupted without warning, swallowing everything in its radiance. Nemui instinctively shielded his eyes, but the brilliance pierced through his very being. And then, darkness shattered. When the light faded, Nemui found himself standing upon a surface that shouldn't exist, a fractured plane floating in an endless abyss. Before him stood something impossible, a colossal figure, towering, monstrous, its form twisted between shadows and flesh, as if reality itself struggled to define it. Two piercing eyes, cold and ancient, stared down at him like a predator observing fragile prey. Nemui's breath hitched. Fear surged through his body. He stumbled backward. Then he ran. His footsteps echoed across the endless nothingness, each step fueled by raw instinct, but the world stretched infinitely. There was nowhere to escape. His foot caught against nothing. He fell, hard. Pain shot through his body as his face struck the ground. Before he could rise, a presence loomed over him once more. The creature, unmoving, watching, then it spoke. Hello, human. Do not bear fear in your heart toward me. Its voice was deep, unnaturally so. It carried a chilling weight, yet there was a strange calmness woven into its tone. I have come to grant you the wish you whispered every day of your miserable existence. Nemui slowly lifted his head, his body trembling. My wish? You desired a new life, the being continued, and I intend to give you exactly that. Nemui's thoughts froze. A new life. For a moment, hope flickered, but doubt followed immediately after. He pushed himself up, locking eyes with the towering entity, despite the fear clawing at his chest. So, you're saying I'll be reincarnated? His gaze sharpened. All right. What's the catch? For the first time, the creature smiled. A low, rumbling laugh echoed through the void. You are sharper than I expected. Its eyes gleamed. In order to be reborn, you must agree to become my vessel. Silence fell between them. Nimue placed a hand against his chin, thinking carefully. His heartbeat slowed, his fear giving way to something else. Curiosity. So, that's it. A second life, in exchange for sharing my body with a demon. Interesting. He exhaled slowly, then looked back up. What's your name? The creature leaned closer, its massive form bending as if the world itself bowed with it. I am Zalius. A pause. The calamity of chaos. The air grew heavier. One of the deities of calamity, though I rank only as the second strongest. Nemui's eyes narrowed slightly. Second? He sat down, crossing his legs, his fear now replaced with intrigue. Then who's number one? Zalius's expression shifted. Serious. Cold. The calamity of destruction. A name followed, laced with quiet hatred. Zeref. The abyss trembled faintly. For millennia, we have battled for dominion. But, in our most recent clash, he gathered the other calamities and sealed me within this forsaken realm. Zalius's gaze sharpened, piercing straight into Nemui's soul. Understand this, human. If you draw too deeply upon my power too soon, Zeref will find you. A pause. And when he does, he will destroy everything you hold dear. Nimue swallowed. And you, I will cease to exist. Another pause. As will you. The weight of those words sank deep. Nimue looked down, his thoughts racing. Calamity of destruction. Other deities. If I mess this up, it's not just me that pays the price. His fists clenched. I won't be the reason everything gets destroyed. As if hearing his thoughts, Zalius spoke again. You will be reborn as an infant. My abilities will awaken within you over time. His voice darkened. But remember, the power you will wield is not human. The abyss seemed to pulse. It is the power of a calamity. Nimue let out a small breath. Yeah, that's intense. Zalius's eyes narrowed slightly. So, Nimue, the air grew still. Do you accept these terms? A pause. Do you accept becoming my vessel? Another. Do you wish to become the new calamity of chaos? Time itself felt frozen. Nimue stood there in silence, thinking. Moments passed. Then he stood up straight. His fear was gone. In its place, resolve. A faint smirk formed on his lips. All right, Zalius. I'll accept. But then. He raised a finger. One condition. Zalius's eyes flickered with interest. I want everything. Nemui's gaze sharpened. My memories, my knowledge, this entire conversation. His smirk deepened. If I'm going to survive, I don't have time to start from scratch. Silence. Then, laughter, deep, echoing, amused. You truly are fascinating, Nimue. Zalius straightened, his presence swelling. Very well. His voice softened, just slightly. I will reside within your consciousness, guiding you. Nimue nodded. Good. He glanced around. So, where am I headed? Zalius turned his gaze to the side. The void warped. A vision appeared. A world, modern, familiar, yet completely different. Cities stood tall, but they were scarred. Overrun, monsters roamed freely, beasts of every shape and form, from grotesque abominations to bloodthirsty humanoid horrors. Nimue watched carefully. So, basically my world. He smirked. But worse. He extended his hand forward. Sounds like a fair deal. His eyes gleamed with something new. Determination. Let's seal it. For a moment, the massive deity simply stared at the small human hand. Then, Zalius reached out. His claw met his hand. And in that instant, darkness exploded. A violent surge of energy erupted as Zalius's entire form collapsed into Nimue's body. Shadows wrapped around him, spiraling like a storm of death and power. Nimue's body trembled. A dark aura ignited around him, thick, suffocating, alive. His eyes widened as the power surged through every part of his being. Then, light, blinding, overwhelming. Everything faded, and just before consciousness slipped away, a voice echoed within him. Welcome to your new life. Chapter 3. The Cry That Never Came. The storm worsened. Rain slammed violently against the windows of Kurotsuki General Hospital, thunder roaring like something alive above the city. Inside room 305, silence lingered. Aiko lay weak but smiling, cradling her newborn son. Renji stood beside her, watching quietly. Nemui, he repeated softly. But something in the air felt wrong. The presence. Down the dim hospital hallway, the lights flickered. Once, twice. Then they shut off completely. Darkness swallowed everything. A nurse's voice echoed faintly. Hello? Backup power should have... Her voice cut off, not faded, not distant, just gone. Inside the room, Renji's head snapped toward the door. Did you hear that? Aiko's grip tightened around Nemui. Yeah, the emergency lights kicked in, dim, red, flickering. And then, a sound. A slow, dragging. From the hallway. The monster appears. The door creaked open, not by a hand, but by something forcing its way through. A shadow stretched across the floor. Then it stepped inside. Its body was twisted, humanoid, but wrong. Limbs too long, joints bending unnaturally. Its skin looked like it was melting into darkness, its eyes empty, yet hungry. Aiko froze. Renji. Renji stepped in front of the bed instinctively. Stay behind me. But even he knew it wouldn't matter. The creature tilted its head. Then it lunged. The hunter arrives, miles away, high above Nixvale City. A figure stood on the edge of a skyscraper. A man, calm, still. Then suddenly his eyes widened. What is that? A pressure. Ancient, chaotic. It shook the very air around him. That's not a monster. A pause. That's something worse. He vanished, back in the room. Time slowed. The creature's claws tore through the air, straight toward Aiko, toward Nemui. And in that moment, Nemui's eyes shifted. Inside his mind, You're reacting too soon. Zalius's voice echoed sharply. Do not... I'm not letting them die. Nemui's thoughts cut through, calm, cold, decided, the awakening. The instant the monster reached them, something broke. A dark pulse exploded from Nemui's body. Invisible, but devastating. The creature froze mid-air. Its body trembled violently. Then, it began to collapse inward. As if crushed by an unseen force, the walls cracked. The monitors shattered. The air warped. A faint black aura flickered around Nemui. Wild, unstable. The monster let out a distorted, silent scream, before being completely erased. Not cut, not torn, erased, aftermath, silence. The storm outside paused for just a moment. As if the world itself held its breath. The hospital door burst open. The S-ranked hunter stood there, tall, imposing, eyes sharp as blades. He scanned the room, expecting chaos, expecting death, but instead, he saw them, alive, unharmed. His gaze slowly shifted to the child, Nemui, lying quietly in Aiko's arms, not crying, not scared, just watching. Impossible, the hunter whispered. He stepped forward slowly, his expression darkening. That pressure. He looked around at the warped walls, the shattered equipment, then back at Nemui. That wasn't a monster. A long pause. That was him. Aiko held Nemui tighter. What do you mean? The hunter didn't answer immediately, because for the first time in years, he felt fear. If that power belongs to a newborn. His voice lowered. Then what will he become? Inside Nemui's mind. What have you done? Zalius's voice roared violently, shaking Nemui's consciousness. You released my power here? Nemui remained calm. They were going to die. You fool. The abyss trembled. Do you have any idea what you've risked? A pause. Then, a colder tone. Far more dangerous. If Zera felt even a fraction of that... Silence. Then we are no longer hidden. Nemui's thoughts darkened slightly. Then I'll just get stronger before he finds me. Zalius went quiet. Then, a low, almost amused voice echoed. Good. Back in reality. The hunter stared at Nemui. Unblinking. Calculating. This child, a pause, cannot be left alone. But deep down, he knew the truth. This wasn't just a child. This was something the world was not ready for. And somewhere, far beyond Nixvale, something stirred.